I'm intrigued because your problem seems to be that this woman dined with Angela Merkel. When I remind you that, among others, Mrs May has dined with the Crankies, what is the criteria that allows you, therefore, to break bread with a world leader?
No, Nick, why are you just ignoring the point completely?
Because it's exactly what you said.
No, she should not be there. She's not a world leader. Why is she with... But is she dining with the Crankies at a G20 summit?
No, it wasn't.
That's the point.
But she is part of the... Ivanka is part of the delegation.
She is...
She works at the White House.
She's
yes,
part of the...
I know.
If she'd been on a modelling shoot or something like that...
It's a sheer nepotism.
Hang on, let me make my point. If she'd been on a modelling shoot elsewhere in the country and Dad had to go and take a phone call or whatever it might have been, or to talk to the Kremlin, whatever it might have been. If they'd flown her in for something like that or a fashion show, I get it. She was part of the delegation. She had attended previous meetings. She attended subsequent meetings. Angela Merkel...
That doesn't make it better that she's been to summit meetings before. You're still ignoring the point that Ivanka is not a world leader.
Can you just clarify
who does she speak for?
Well, whatever she might have been. No, but whatever she might have been doing. But fashion, I don't care what she was at. Tennis, could have been at Wimbledon.
No,
well,
but in a sense what we're seeing is... surely there is a suggestion here that Donald Trump is grooming his own daughter to be his successor, as we saw from this tweet exchange between Chelsea Clinton and the 45th president, I think it is. He says, if Chelsea Clinton were asked to hold the seat for her mother as her mother gave our country away, the fake news would say Chelsea for Prez. And then she says, good morning, Mr. President. It would never have occurred to my mother or my father to ask me, were you giving our country away? Hoping not.
Well, all I do is I refer you to the following points. She was part of the delegation. She'd attended previous meetings. She attended subsequent meetings that took part of the whole G20. Angela Merkel, who I think we'd agree has got a bit of form in this. She's been to more G20s than any of them. She said it's perfectly normal, it's perfectly acceptable. I'm staggered that you talk about doing a disservice for women. I would, and if that it falls to me to defend it, I would have thought you'd support the fact that a woman actually gets to sit in there.
I actually cannot believe I am hearing...
Come on, let's have it.
I believe I'm hearing this. Carol, let me... Because you're going to probably agree with Nick, aren't you?
I'm going to say...
Yeah, so let us get a counter view in first, please. Nick, it is offensive to suggest that the only way a woman can get into the position of chairing high-level meetings at the G20 alongside Angela Merkel is by being the daughter of...
didn't say that.
Why is that progress for women?
You didn't say that.
Progress for women with women on merit because they've been elected or because of their talent or capability or legitimacy. Exactly.
And Angela Merkel doesn't have a problem, so why should you
Sadly,
guys?
Donald Trump doesn't have any of that experience. Donald Trump is not a politician either, but he is there because he was elected. And the thing is... The thing is, Trump is running the White House like you would run a new family business, so I guess you would have his family there. But also, arguably, politics today is all about money. And this is one of the richest US administrations ever. And there's also the point to make that, you know, this woman... No, hang on a second. This woman, she's rich. She could have sat around all her life getting facials and buying Birkin bags. She didn't do that. She's been working. She runs a business empire. She started up a fashion empire. She's worked since she... What do you mean, oh, God?
How does that...
She runs a fashion empire. Yes, she does. She runs... She sells shoes, bags and clothes.
Hold on.
I'm not that interested in her having dinner, you know, whatever. I'm more interested in the fact that she was chairing a meeting on Africa and on migration.
She sat in the chair.
How is she qualified to be the US, the representative of that nation in a meeting of that importance?
It is perfectly acceptable for officials, not politicians, for officials to take the place of the president. He was out of the room for a few minutes and then he came back.
And I repeat my question, what qualifies her to be the official?
Well, what qualifies Angela Merkel?
She's the elected leader of Germany.
What qualifies Trump? He's not a politician either.
He's the elected leader, though I don't like it.
Carol, can we just accept that, as we've seen also from the other Trump news this week about what Donald Jr. has been up to, that this is in a sense like a family business, a Sicilian family business.
That's not the same
argument. A Sicilian family business, which isn't how we want our politics to be run. Shall we just hear from the lady in question? Okay. Let's have a look at Ivanka in action.
You know, I try to stay out of politics. You know, his political instincts are phenomenal. He did something that no one could have imagined he'd be able to accomplish. There were very few who saw it early on. I feel blessed to have been part of the ride from day one and before, but he did something pretty remarkable. But I don't profess to be a political savant, so I leave the politics to other people and really lean into the issues that I care deeply about.
had she not been the first daughter, would she be along for the ride at all? Would he have hired somebody who had a handbag line to come to the summits with him?
But the fact of the matter is, she's quite a capable woman, I think, and she wasn't there to sit in that chair.
Not for that job.
She was there to attend a World Bank event for female entrepreneurs. She's perfectly entitled to be there and perfectly qualified to be there. So, and the fact that you guys are talking about her as being some blonde girl with makeup, so what? That's actually quite sexist, I think. No, but it was in the intro. It doesn't matter if she's blonde, it doesn't matter if she's thin and gorgeous or whatever.
I'm afraid it does matter, Carol. I genuinely don't think she would be in that seat if she wasn't thin, blonde, gorgeous and his daughter.
I actually welcome this. I welcome this. Do you know why I welcome this?
Why?
Because I think we all know that this is not a meritocratic world, that America is not a meritocratic country.
Yeah.
You know, that there is not gender parity in politics and power. And when I see this, it makes it so much easier for us to make the case about how unfair and rigged this is.
So there's a woman in politics.
All those kids being lectured about how this is a meritocracy. If you work hard, you get rewarded. They can see this now and know what reality is. And you know what? That's transparent.
And this is a woman being carried into politics.
At least we know the reality.
Can I add to that? I think, Rachel, your point is absolutely spot on, and I'm so confused by what these two are saying. I'm like flabbergasted. I'm like, really? But also, it does. No, I think most people would agree with us actually on this one. And what I find just absolutely confusing is the delusion of Donald Trump, because at that same G20 meeting, he stood up on stage to say that Ivanka's life would be much easier if she wasn't his daughter. What planet is he on? She wouldn't be there if she wasn't his daughter. Are you trying to say that woman is qualified for that job?
I'm not saying she's qualified.
Then she shouldn't be there.
She's not a qualified politician.
If she's not qualified for the job, she shouldn't be there.
Trump is not a qualified politician either, and he's entitled to
But he was elected.
She works at the White House. She's an unpaid intern.
Thanks
of course
to him.
She's going to...
She wasn't slaving away in the West Wing,
that in families all over the world, people don't help each other. Of course they do. She was not there to talk at that meeting. She was there to fill a chair while he was out of the room.
Do you think she's an icon of social mobility, Nick?
The three rather shrill-voiced members of the pledge tonight have failed to have done is to a whole melange of why you loathe Donald Trump. And you have every right to loathe Donald Trump.
I'm actually coming round to him, Nick.
You're bringing in Donald Trump Jr., you're bringing in some of his past businesses, and Carol's given a very valiant defence. I just want to quote some of the words back to you, Rachel, when you said she did women a great disservice. How?
She did.
How?
Because she...
No, hold on. Sorry, I don't want to be rude, but she wrote it, so how? How is that a disservice?
Simply by the visual image alone, which has sadly been deleted by Twitter, so we couldn't use it, of Ivanka Trump sitting between two world leaders gives the optic that in order to make it to the top, it's all that determines your ascent is what you look like, who you are. That doesn't happen with men. And his
what do you mean?
Donald Jr. wasn't there because...
But if he had been... But why women? That's the bit I don't get.
Because this is what happens. Women are first ladies, women are first daughters, men never are. So this is something that women have to go through and the world has to accept and think it's good for women when it's in fact bad for women.
There are not counter-images of other women in similar positions of power. If that picture of the G20...
If it had been Donald Jr., it would have been fine.
If that image of the G20... well, this is a whole separate issue. If this image of the G20 had been 50% men and women, if it wasn't just Angela Merkel practically on her own, it would be a different context. But the reality is, this is one of the very few images we have of a woman at the top table.
And this is Ivanka's fault, is it?
And she's not there on merit.
And this is Ivanka's fault.
She's the symptom, not the cause.
And this is Ivanka Trump's fault.
She is the symptom and not the cause.
And for the fourth time...
She shouldn't be saying she stands up for women's rights because she sure as hell doesn't. Anyway, I'm going to wrestle this. Rachel, brilliant debate. Ignore these two.